It is a part of one Buddhist practice to stand here and give a talk, to share your Dharma, your path with your Sangha. And I do encourage everyone to give it a try. We are a very supportive community. All talks are received very well, and it is. I think it's very beneficial for your practice to review what you've learned, what you want to share, and to be able to marshal your thoughts, and then present them, because then you have a deeper understanding of sort of your location in the scheme of things, and and how you're getting along. And well, anyway, so that's my little bit of encouragement for you to stand here and do this also instead of me. Well, the topic that I want to discuss is resilience, and resilience is the theme of the upcoming retreat in October. I think it's October 17th? Oh, October 18th. It's the weekend. We will be in retreat up at the Dharma Center. We will be doing lots of movement. We will have discussions, and we will also have meditation. And it's the best time of year to do meditation, right at the height of the fall with the leaves turning, because everything is preparing for winter and turning inward. So when you meditate during the fall, especially up there at the Dharma Center, where it's just so beautiful, you have the assistance of the universe, literally. You sort of have the momentum of nature as it turns inward, along with your meditations. So it really is a very powerful experience, and I encourage you to do that also. The changing of the seasons is an example of how resilient the natural world is. So that's one of the reasons why cultivating resilience is going to be the theme for that retreat. So resilience, I have defined for this talk, is the ability to adapt to challenging situations in our lives. In New York City, we New Yorkers have shown how resilient we were 12 years ago during 9/11, when we experienced a great, overwhelming tragedy, but we came through it. The city is actually, as an organism, the actual city itself is, although we are riddled with all kinds of problems, and probably always will be, but it's more vibrant than ever. People still want to come here. We didn't, it didn't destroy our spirit. Our resilience in meeting that challenging situation really showed. So I think we really bounced back and showed how resilient we are. Now, resilience relates to our Buddhist practice because it is about change, or as we Buddhists like to say, impermanence. In one Buddhist practice, we very pointedly state that one of our challenges is to bring spiritual meaning to our everyday life. And our one Buddhist spiritual practice is a counterpoint for life that has become very, very materialistic, extremely materialistic. So resilience has characteristics that parallel Dharma practice, and especially the Threefold Learnings. So if anyone, we don't pass out the books anymore. I brought mine. We used to pass out the scripture book. So there's a doctrine. Everyone, I hope you have like one of these at home. There is a doctrinal chart of the Threefold Learnings. Let's see. Where is it? It's in the beginning. And the Threefold Learnings are, oh, here we go. Cultivation of spiritual stability, study, which is samadhi, study of facts and principles, prajna, and selection of right conduct. So I'm just going to be talking about that and how that really relates to following these learnings really brings resilience into our life and the ability to respond to change in creative ways, in ways that add meaning to our lives. So first, the first characteristic that I wanted to discuss about resilience is strength. That we develop our strength in our practice by just practicing. We're supposed to practice meditation continuously and practice meditation everywhere. And through this, we do develop a lot of strength. Or when strength translates into spiritual stability or samadhi. The flexibility is another characteristic of resilience. So awareness, wisdom, and prajna are all very related. Often you might not think of flexibility as awareness, but I mean, I'm a very long time Tai Chi student, and just being flexible and learning this physical discipline it requires a lot of study, a lot of awareness. So being in tune with change, also with timing, with learning about timing in nature, when to do something, how far to go. So the application of flexibility requires prajna or wisdom. And the next characteristic is perseverance, characteristic of resilience. Mindful choice in action, which is part of sila, part of the Threefold Learnings. We're given, in the book, we are given precepts to guide our lives. And these precepts help enrich our lives rather than just going through the motions, which we can tend to do. And when we do that and we don't show resilience, I know you've probably heard the term of, someone is just burnt out, and that shows a lack of resilience, a lack of returning to precepts and understanding how important they are. Also, compassion fatigue occurs where if you have a challenging job, maybe you are a doctor or a nurse or a therapist, and after a while, all these problems, you're fatigued by them. You don't feel it anymore. You can also experience compassion fatigue just watching CNN. There was an explosion here. These people were attacked here. So after a while, we just stop feeling it. So the Threefold Learnings, I think, help bring us back and let us experience life a little more, and not be indifferent to tragedy, because compassion fatigue is also a delusion that we want to avoid. We want to act with wisdom. If you turn to your Threefold Learning practice, it's a very good way of cultivating resilience. It ultimately can lead you to true awakening. And there is a portion of the scripture that I wanted to read to you today about that concerns that. So I'll just read. It's It starts on page 56, chapter 7, the practice of continual meditation. So, generally speaking, son meditation, and son is the Korean term for Zen. Right? Here in the U.S., we hear a lot about Zen meditation, which is controlling the mind, but in Korean we say son. So generally speaking, son meditation is a discipline to attain freedom of the mind by becoming enlightened to one's own nature, which originally bears no discrimination or attachment. Whoever has had an ambition to attain the Great Way has practiced son meditation. If one intends to practice son correctly, one should first of all consider the absolute void as the fundamental and abstruse beings as functional, so that outwardly one can behave as firmly as a huge mountain when confronting numerous trying situations, while inwardly keeping one's mind as pure as the void. So I'll stop there because this actually goes on for a few pages. But I mean, I could go on and on about the absolute void, but I'm not going to do that here. But the great Master Sote-san is just telling us how to behave when confronting numerous trying situations. That these trying situations occur in our mind, and the solution to being resilient about it also is by controlling our mind. So it's a really good chapter. It starts on page 56. So if you later on, if you guys want to look at it. Okay. Okay. So another really good example of resilience is offered in our daily practice, the Dharma of daily practice, where we say, let us change resentment into gratitude. So that is, when I first thought about this, I thought about how difficult it actually would be, changing resentment into gratitude. But when I considered it more closely and sort of took apart what resentment is, I thought, well, this does have some possibilities. Resentment is an attempt to maintain a feeling of anger or lasting ill will. So instead of like a natural angry response, resentment is that nursing of a grudge or an incident, and you're reviewing it in your mind, you're personalizing it. So you're personalizing even a random mishap, and shaping it really to fit almost a paranoid delusion. And it could involve envy, wanting the material possessions of someone else, or if someone is just insulting you. The paranoid ego comes up with an endless supply of resentment situations. And resentment is natural. I would like to say that all of my anger is just like one flash in the pan, and then it disappears, but I'm still working on that. So this relates to our Buddhist practice of learning about the principles of life, because we are told that everything is impermanent, and this is very encouraging. So even resentment is impermanent. So when we stroke and nurture our resentments, we're actually going against the natural way of things and participating and perpetuating a delusion. So I can look at that part of the daily Dharma and understand, okay, changing resentment into gratitude. Resentment is impermanent. Everything has to change, even that. But then the tricky part is, how do you change that into gratitude? That was the next thing. So I lifted a really good definition of gratitude off of the Psychology Today website that I like. And they refer to gratitude as, gratitude is what gets poured into the glass to make it half full. And I like that. So they go on, gratitude is an emotion expressing appreciation for what one has, as opposed to, say, a consumer-oriented emphasis on what one wants or needs. And I was kind of surprised, because I thought, wow, this is very Wan Buddhist. It's almost like it should be on our website. And also studies show that cultivating gratitude increases well-being and happiness, and grateful thinking, and you have more energy and optimism and empathy, all of these good things. And I'm actually going to use this as my new koan, which is a very targeted meditation. So gratitude is what gets poured into the glass to make it half full, because I like the nuances of being able to visualize something being poured and what is full and half full. And you can also contemplate fullness and emptiness. So it's going to be my new koan. I'm happy about that. Now, back to changing this alchemy of changing it into resentment. So gratitude is also very much like appreciation, and appreciation involves assessing, weighing, measuring, observation. It's very much like the scientific method, but to make it into gratitude, we need it to become more than that. So I think that's where where gratitude becomes what is poured into the glass to make it half full. Gratitude has to be really infused with like the love and even magic of our own hearts. So I think that is the point where it really changes, and you can understand, okay, resentment, everyone feels resentment. Resentment is, you're just trying to perpetuate this ill will. You can change it, but you have to change it by going inward, touching upon something in your heart to change it into gratitude. And I think that's impossible, and possible. I think it's very encouraging to think about that. So one of the purposes of doing a Dharma talk is to let your Sangha get to know you a little more, and to share personal parts of your life, rather than just going on and on about abstruse Wan Dharma principles and threefold learning. It's not that. It gets to be not too exciting. So I did have some exciting news in my life this past week. My brother Eric and Amelia, who are not here today because I think they were just like a little too tired, they were married here at the temple last Saturday, which was a very wonderful, happy occasion for my family. And they were married here. The ceremony was here. The reception was in Brooklyn, and part of their entry into the reception was, we have a tradition of jumping the broom, and this was not everyone at the reception really understood what this was about. So I thought that I would talk about that and how it really responds to like the resilience of my family, which is a very mixed race family. This is a tradition that harkens from our slave ancestors who were not permitted to legally marry. So they would have a ceremony where you put the broom in the entryway, and there would be a big celebration. You would jump over the broom, hence that would signify leaping into the new life and making the marriage official. It's also a tradition. It's also a Scottish tradition. It's a Roma tradition as well. So it's not limited. It's because the broom is a very household item, and there are many traditions where where the bride and groom enter and they do different things. I wanted to also talk to you about my ancestors, who I thought of on that day. Edwin and Mary, this is during the 18th century. Edwin Turpin, he was an enslaver. He was a slave owner, and he purchased Mary in Louisiana, and she was newly captured from Africa. They settled in Goochland City, Virginia, where he purchased land from his second cousin, Thomas Jefferson. But I know this talk is really taking a turn, right? But they they fell in love, and he took her to Canada, where they were married, because here in the United States these marriages were not allowed. So they had a family, and in response, I guess, as part of the times, their plantation was burned down to the ground at one point. But given the climate of the time, but as resilient people adapting to this challenging situation, they just rebuilt and continued their lives. And he, according to his will, he freed his children, which I see that as pouring gratitude to half fill that glass. So I did bring, for the talk later, I brought along a Washington Post article of my cousin, well, a distant cousin named Risha, who joined the DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution, because she encouraged all the females who are of this direct line, including myself and my sister, to join. You're able to join this organization, which has a very long history of racial prejudice, but they're trying to change that now. If you are descended from a patriot who fought or helped out during the American Revolution. So she, I think, is an example of how to respond in a resilient way, instead of to let go of resentments and to look forward and to, I guess, to change that resentment into gratitude, to add meaning, even more meaning to your life. So if you want, I'll stay for the talk, and we can talk more about that. But those are just examples of resilience, and that sort of pertain to my life and my family, which because we are a little different, and it is a great. It's been a great experience just exploring this idea about resilience and what it means, and how I've learned about it through Won Buddhism. So again, I'm really encouraging, especially those of you who have not stood up here and and given the talk, just to come do it. It's really I hope I know that was kind of like a disjointed talk, but it really was about one topic, but I had different things to pull together. But it was meaningful to me to do this, and I am honored that that you all are here this morning to listen. Thank you very much.